Pest control companies charge you $200 to spray chemicals around your home that wear off in 2 weeks, and the flies come right back. I spent 30 years on a 200-acre farm in Millersburg, Ohio. We had livestock, crops, compost, open fields, every condition that should have made flies unbearable. And yet, not a single fly inside our home. Not one exterminator called. Not one chemical purchased. What we used cost less than $1. My grandmother taught it to my mother before I was even born. Today, I'm giving you everything. My name is Samuel Mast. I grew up Amish in Holmes County, Ohio, farming from the time I could walk. No electricity, no pest control contracts, no $80 bottles of spray from a man in a white van. Flies were our first enemy every single spring. The moment temperatures hit 50 degrees, they came. When you have horses, cows, and open compost, flies don't just visit, they invade. Every Amish farm family solved it the same way, using things that cost almost nothing and worked permanently. These are methods passed down through generations of farmers who couldn't afford to fail. Flies spread disease and cost real money. Let me start with what most people get completely wrong. The mistake every homeowner makes. When people see flies, they grab a can of spray. They kill the 3 flies they can see. They feel the problem is handled. 2 hours later, there are 6 more. By August, they've spent $60 on spray and still have flies buzzing around. Killing the fly you can see does nothing, because that fly already laid eggs. A single female housefly lays up to 500 eggs. The larvae are already in your trash, your drain, your compost bin. By tomorrow morning, you'll have more than you started with. The Amish approach was about destroying the cycle. Block the entry, eliminate the breeding, repel before they arrive. I watched a neighbor pay an exterminator $180 3 summers in a row. Same result. He finally asked what we did. Step 1. Destroy every breeding source first. This is the step every exterminator skips because it takes real effort. Flies breed in wet organic matter. Remove every source of wet organic matter and you cut the population by 80%. Your outdoor trash bins. If the lid doesn't seal tight, flies are breeding inside right now. Rinse them with vinegar and water, your pets' water and food bowls. On the farm, we changed animal water twice every day because still water attracts flies. Your compost area. Bury every new addition under existing material. Add a thin layer of dry straw over the top. Your gutters and downspouts. Clogged gutters collect wet, decomposing leaves. Wet matter at the roofline draws flies directly in. Step 2. The $1 repellent barrier, white vinegar, whole cloves, dried bay leaves. 3 ingredients. Fill a mason jar halfway with vinegar. Drop in 10 cloves. Add 3 bay leaves. Set this near every entry point. The combination of vinegar, cloves, and bay leaves overwhelms their navigation system completely. They simply never approach. We refreshed these jars every 2 weeks. The cost per season, less than 50 cents. It worked every single time. If you do nothing else, make these jars today. You will notice a difference within 24 hours. The herb barrier. What we planted every single spring. Every Amish home I grew up around had the same plants growing near the back door and kitchen entrance. Visitors always assumed it was for cooking. Some of it was, but every single plant was chosen first because flies cannot tolerate them. This was not decoration. This was pest control that cost nothing, required no chemicals, and worked harder than anything at a hardware store. Let me tell you exactly what we planted, where we planted it, and why it worked, because the placement matters just as much as the plant. Basil. This was always the first plant set near the back door every spring. not inside the kitchen, but directly outside the entry door. Flies will not fly through basil. They avoid it completely. The volatile oils that give basil its strong smell are toxic to fly nervous systems. The Amish planted basil at doorways because it functioned as a living door seal. One pot on each side creates a corridor flies won't enter. Lavender. We planted lavender along the side of the house, along fence lines, and near any outdoor sitting area. Lavender repels not just flies but mosquitoes, fleas, and moths simultaneously. One plant solving 4 pest problems at once. We never bought a single bottle of mosquito spray in 30 years of farming. Lavender along the perimeter handled it. Mint, the most aggressive repellent plant we used. We planted it in contained pots near every window we kept open during summer. The scent that humans find fresh and pleasant is genuinely unbearable to flies. They will not fly through mint scent to enter a window. Tansy, this one is less known today, but was, historically, the most common fly repellent plant used across Amish farming communities. My grandmother had dried tansy bundles hanging above every food storage area in the farmhouse. It contains compounds flies actively flee from. A dried tansy bundle hung near your food prep area costs nothing if you grow it yourself and works through an entire season. Plant these 4 things: basil at the door, lavender along the fence, mint beneath the windows, tansy hung inside. The trap that catches everything that gets through. For those few that make it inside, we used a trap that costs almost nothing. Take any glass jar. Add 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and 3 drops of dish soap. Cover the top tightly with plastic wrap and use a toothpick to poke 8 to 10 small holes across the surface. The vinegar produces a fermented scent flies love. The soap breaks the surface tension. When they land, they sink immediately. We placed these traps near food areas, trash bins, and pet stations. The total cost for an entire summer is under $1. What exterminators actually do. When an exterminator arrives, they spray synthetic chemicals that kill on contact for only 48 to 72 hours. The chemical residue breaks down from sun and heat. Within days, you have the exact same problem you started with. The entire business model depends on solutions designed not to last. A permanent fix eliminates a paying customer. Everything shared here addresses the problem at every level. It removes the conditions that create the problem and builds layers of prevention. This is how a 200-acre farm with cattle and chickens stayed fly-free for 30 years. With knowledge that costs almost nothing. You have everything you need right now. Start with 1 step. Just 1. And watch what happens within 24 hours. The window and door system that keeps flies out permanently. Most homeowners think about flies after they are already inside. They react, they swat, spray, chase, and they repeat this same cycle every single day from May through September. They do this without ever asking the most important question: how are they getting in? On a 200-acre farm, we could not afford to react. Reacting means the fly is already inside your food storage. So we built systems at every entry point that made getting inside nearly impossible from the start. Not difficult. Nearly impossible. Let me walk you through exactly what we did at every window and door on the farmhouse. Every window that opened during summer had 2 things in place. First, a mint pot placed directly on the exterior sill beneath it. The volatile compounds in mint disorient fly navigation completely. It needs to be on the exterior sill, not interior. Second, every window screen was inspected every single spring. A hole the size of a pencil tip is large enough for a housefly. We patched every screen with a simple beeswax and fiber method. Melt a small amount of beeswax, Press a piece of thin cotton fiber, apply the wax over it, let it harden. Waterproof, durable, invisible from a distance. Most homeowners ignore these small holes. Doors were handled differently. We used what we called a door curtain, strips of dried herbs bundled tightly and hung vertically. Every time that door opened, the movement released the volatile oils. Flies encountered that concentrated scent wall and turned back. The floor and drain system, nobody ever talks about. Your indoor drains are actively breeding flies right now if you haven't treated them. Kitchen drains accumulate organic film that flies lay eggs into. The larvae emerge as adult flies inside your home. The solution: once per week, pour 1 full cup of undiluted white vinegar down every drain. Follow it immediately with boiling water. The vinegar breaks down the film. The boiling water flushes it completely. Do this every single week from spring through fall. Floor areas near pet feeding stations deserve attention too. We wiped these areas daily with a vinegar and water solution. Every April, we applied the invisible boundary. We crushed dried cloves and mixed them with lavender and mint in equal parts. We placed this mixture in small cloth pouches at every corner of the home's foundation and at every windowsill. The combined scent creates a perimeter that flying insects register as a boundary and do not cross. They root around it. The pest control industry wants you to believe this is complicated. It is not. It requires understanding how flies live and breed. It requires understanding how flies live and breed. Start today. You have the complete system. The flies around your home this season will be the last problem. The flies around your home this season will be the food storage system that made flies irrelevant inside our home. Everything we have covered so far deals with flies from the outside. Blocking entry points, eliminating breeding sources, building perimeter barriers. All of that is essential, and all of it works. But there is an entire layer of fly control that happens inside the home, specifically around food, that most people never address correctly. Until you address it, you will always have some level of fly presence inside your kitchen. On the farm, food storage was treated as a separate discipline entirely. We developed precise habits around how food was stored and surfaces were maintained. These habits cost nothing. They require no products, and they eliminate the interior attraction that pulls flies deeper into your home. Most homeowners assume flies enter because of an open door. But more often, flies are drawn by scent signals they detect from a significant distance. Fruit sitting on a counter, even if it looks fresh, emits fermentation compounds. A single overripe banana can draw flies from 50 feet away. Unwashed dishes sitting in a sink produce scent signals continuously. Every hour they sit is an invitation to every fly within range of your home. Grease particles and food crumbs accumulate under appliances. This material ferments slowly in warm conditions and produces organic scent signals that draw flies. Fruit was never left on an open counter during fly season. We stored all fruit in covered ceramic containers or in the root cellar. If you keep fruit visible, place a dish of whole cloves beside it. The volatile oils repel flies from the immediate area around the fruit. Wipe all cooking surfaces immediately after every meal. A quick wipe with a vinegar and water solution eliminates the signal before it draws flies. Dishwashing happened before every meal. If you cannot wash immediately, at minimum rinse every dish and submerge it in water to stop scent signals. Every morning, wipe every kitchen surface with a cloth dampened with diluted white vinegar. 1 part vinegar to 3 parts water. White vinegar leaves a residual scent that flies find deeply unpleasant. For 4 to 6 hours, flies will not land on those surfaces. Take a whole orange and press whole cloves into the skin until it is densely covered. Place this directly on your kitchen windowsill. As the sun warms the fruit, the combination of citrus and clove oils releases a potent natural fly repellent into the air. Layer 1 is source elimination. Clean bins, clean drains, treated with vinegar, and managed compost. This reduces the fly population by 80%. Layer 2 is the perimeter barrier. Vinegar jars at entry points and lavender along the fence line intercept flies before they reach your home. Layer 3 is the entry point system. Mint on exterior sills and basil at door entries. This stops flies from entering the structure. Layer 4 is the interior system. Daily vinegar wipes, covered fruit, and immediate dish rinsing. This makes your interior inhospitable to flies. Layer 5 is the trap. Apple cider vinegar traps at interior hotspots catch the individuals that navigate through everything else. This is the complete system. It works because it addresses the problem at every level simultaneously. You have everything now. The rest is simply doing it. The seasonal calendar we followed every year without exception. Most people treat fly control like a reaction. They wait until flies appear and then scramble to deal with them. By the time you see flies in meaningful numbers inside or around your home, you are already 3 to 4 weeks behind the cycle. The eggs have been laid. The larvae have developed. The adult population is already established and reproducing. Reacting at that point means you are chasing a problem that is always one generation ahead of you. The Amish approach was built entirely around timing, not reacting to flies, but anticipating them. Every year we followed a seasonal calendar that meant our defenses were fully in place before the first fly of the season ever appeared. This is the piece that ties every method we have discussed into a system that actually wins. Individual methods applied at the wrong time are half as effective as the same methods applied at the right time. Let me walk you through the exact calendar we followed. Month by month, task by task. March, the preparation month. In Ohio, fly season begins around late April when soil temperatures reach 50 degrees. But our preparation began in March without exception. 6 to 8 weeks before the first fly appeared. The first task of March was a full property inspection. Every potential breeding source identified and addressed. We checked every drain. We inspected every trash storage area. We checked beneath equipment for accumulated organic debris. Anything that could hold moisture and organic material was either cleaned, moved, or covered. You are auditing your property in cold weather, when flies are absent, to eliminate resources they will need when they arrive. Every breeding site you eliminate in March is a generation of flies that never exists in May. The second March task was sourcing and preparing materials. We gathered dried herbs from the previous season's garden. We prepared cloth pouches for perimeter placement. We checked our supply of white vinegar and whole cloves. We inspected all window screens and repaired any damage with the beeswax method. Everything was ready before it was needed. April, the deployment month. By early April, we began active deployment of every exterior layer. Not because flies were present, they were not yet, but because we wanted every barrier established and settled. First week of April, perimeter pouches placed at every foundation corner and door threshold. 12 pouches for the farmhouse, refreshed with a gentle crush between the palms to activate the oils. Second week of April, all vinegar and clove jars mixed and placed at every exterior entry point. Third week of April, herb planting, basil seedlings potted and placed at entries. Mint placed beneath windows. Fourth week of April, first drain treatment. Full cup of white vinegar, followed by boiling water down every drain. When the first flies appeared, they found every barrier in place, every breeding source eliminated, and every entry point defended. May and June, the monitoring months. The system was running. Our job was to maintain it. Every 2 weeks we refreshed the vinegar and clove jars. Every 3 weeks we crushed the perimeter pouches. Weekly drain treatments continued. We watched the apple cider traps closely as an early warning system. July and August, the peak defense months, heat accelerates everything. A fly can go from egg to adult in 7 days. During these months, we increased drain treatment frequency to twice weekly. Outdoor compost management became daily. The clove and citrus pieces were replaced every 3 weeks, as the heat exhausts their oils faster. September, the wind down month. By mid-September, temperatures begin dropping. 3rd week, reduced to half the vinegar jars. 4th week, final drain treatment. Harvest and dry herbs for next season. The pest control industry generates billions. They sell you a monthly service contract for an unsolved problem. My community shared knowledge freely, because that is how a community survives. You do not need an exterminator. You never did.